of wisdom from Dan Tolman.
Hello, I'm so glad you're here. I'm with a phenomenal speaker. He shares a wealth of information all over the world. And my experience with him is that he gives great insights. I have a question about cancer, though. Why is it uprising? Why is it continually a number one issue for not only women, but for men?
It's interesting, isn't it? And thank you for the kind words. And it's so good to see you again.
Yes, I am so glad you're here.
You know, this whole thing of cancer, it's a word that is actually copyrighted and owned. And so if anybody comes up with a cure for it, they can wind up losing everything and going to prison. Kind of an interesting little scenario. But this thing of cancer, if you look it up in a good pre-1940s dictionary, it means rot and decay. And it's interesting because there are published studies that are good studies. They weren't done to bring a weapon of war in the fight against cancer about. We spent over $3 trillion in 47 years developing weapons of war on cancer. And we went from 1 in 8,000 U.S. citizens being diagnosed with cancer in 1908. 47 years later, $3 trillion spent in the war, and now we're at 1 in 3 are diagnosed as having cancer. It's the most popular money-making disease out there. And it's interesting because rot and decay, the published studies shows that it's okay to eat all of the dead animals you want that are in a state of rot and decay the second you kill them, but if they sit in the colon more than 72 hours, the cadaverine chemistry that is designed to rot and decay the body back into the compost of the earth to let the atomic structure release and go organize other things, if it sits in your body at body temperatures for more than 3 days, 72 hours, the cadaverine chemistry breaks out in you, and it creates a situation that the body's neuroimmune response and the mucosal cells of the body that create mucus to keep you moisturized and to contain bacterial and viral and parasitic overwhelm and all kinds of other problems, overproduces mucus and to surround it in order to enclose it and carry it out of the body. Well, when that happens in different anatomical sites of the body, and a person lives on donuts and soda pop and going to fast foods and popping miracle pill supplements and taking drugs that slows down the peristaltic action of the body to help remove the dead carcass from the body, and you're not eating enough plant food and the fibers, you're going to have some problems. It's just a matter of time. This thing of cancer really comes down to house cleaning. We need to clean the house. It used to be called a living temple work, and that was house cleaning. They realized that everything in existence happened in threes or tripartites, and it was a fabulous sacred measure. In fact, all of their orchards and groves and vineyards, the architectural construction of their sacred buildings that were symbolic of the body were all based on the measures of the body. And it was a phi ratio, and it was in 3 parts, like the finger has 3 parts. A small part in a mathematical measure to a larger part, as that larger part was to the whole, a 1 to 1.6 measure. And they realized that measure went through the arm, the hand, the arm, the forearm, 3 pieces, the leg, 1, 2, 3, same thing. They divided the body into 3 levels. The bottom level, from the navel to the bottom of the feet, was the basement of the house. From the navel to the throat was the main floor of the house. And the throat to the top of the head was the upper rooms. Some cultures call the upper rooms the heavens. It comes of the word heaven, meaning heaved up or raised above the rest of the kingdom or temple proper. And they believed that when you brought offerings of food in the tripartite of plants, plants grow food under the ground in the basement of the earth. You actually have to dig down and get them. And then there are those that grow on the main floor of the earth. And then there are those you had to reach into the heavens to get, like the nuts and the fruits. And now there are studies that this is a brilliant wisdom. Those foods really target the deepest parts of us, and or this part or the upper rooms. And it's fascinating because cancer, if you really look at it, comes down to this. In today's academically indoctrinated vernacular of description, and it comes down to, let's say that you're diagnosed as having stomach cancer. One of the 200 cancers that we now have. Used to be one, but they found out there's more money to break it out into many. That's why we don't have polio anymore. We cured polio with a little sugar cube with some blue stuff from a rhesus monkey. Took it around and made billions worldwide. No one has polio anymore because it became illegal to diagnose as people having polio. No other reason. You're a state licensed doctor. You can't diagnose as people having polio. That's against the law. We cured that. We took it away because we said you couldn't say that anymore. Instead, we gave them 12 names of neurodegenerative diseases that now you get. You don't get polio because you get multiple sclerosis. You get muscular dystrophy. You get Lou Gehrig's disease. You get Parkinson's. You get all these different things. It's just polio, and there's more money in having multiple diseases. A lot of people don't realize in the last 110 years, we went from 7 diseases and 10 medicines to here we are in 2008 with over 10,000 legally registered diseases, with over 500,000 patented pharmaceutical drugs in the fight against disease. Maybe it's time we learn to lay down the weapons of war and walk away and just pick up and embrace principles of health. Because the principles of health work. If you simply type in www.dontolmanusa.com, that's dontolmanusa.com. Learn more about this. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to stay in touch. Thanks.